So this is a bit sad. San Siro has been stripped of hosting the 2027 Champions League final. UEFA have confirmed. Now, obviously, the San Siro, we know this stadium is the home of both Inter and AC Milan. It's one of the most iconic football venues in the world, one of the real cathedrals of football. I believe both of the Milan clubs agreed to be moving out of there in the near future, but they're still there, which of course is great. I love that stadium. I'd love to go visit it one day if I ever go to the city. As you can tell, I'm not a Milan fan or anything, but I did love watching Milan back in the day. They were my team in Serie A that I used to love watching back when Serie A was like the best league in the world. It was an incredible league back in the day, back in the 90s and the noughties, but these days not as much. I do watch the odd game though here and there. I watched the Milan derby at the weekend, that was very entertaining. Anyway, so UEFA have reopened the bidding process to stage the 2027 Champions League final after stripping Milan's San Siro of the hosting rights. Now this is according to ESPN Australia, so shout out to these guys for writing this article I'm reading from today. The San Siro, the home of AC and Inter Milan, last staged the Champions League final in 2016 with a Madrid derby between Real Madrid and Atletico following a penalty shootout. UEFA announced Milan as the 2020 host city in May this year, at the same time confirming that Puskás Arena in Budapest, Hungary is the host for the 2026 Champions League final. But despite confirming Milan as the 2027 venue, UEFA did so on the proviso that the Italian Football Federation, the FIGC, submitted information in the plans for multi-million-pound refurbishment of the stadium. Those plans remain uncertain, with both Milan and Inter considering moving out of the San Siro, officially named the Stadio Giuseppe Meazza, due to an ongoing battle to secure funding for the renovation of the existing stadium. If funds cannot be secured, the 75,500 capacity stadium could be demolished. I heard actually recently that no matter what, they're not going to demolish it because it has been designated as a significant area of Italian culture or architecture or history, basically putting it on the same kind of pedestal as a lot of the classic Roman monuments and stuff like that. Maybe not quite that high, but basically has protection. In the UK, we have something called a grading system. If a building is grade listed, it can't be demolished or refurbished in certain ways because it is historically significant. Think Big Ben or Westminster Abbey or the Tower of London, something like that. Nobody can go demolishing it and putting a skyscraper there because it is so iconic, so it's protected. A lot of countries have the same thing. Italy sounds like they have maybe not got the same thing there, but I also heard that they've agreed with that, so I don't know what's going on there, to be honest. That's a bit strange. And with the future of the stadium still shrouded in doubt, UEFA has announced that it will now seek a new host venue for the 27 Champions League final following a meeting of its executive committee on Tuesday. A UEFA statement said, as the municipality of Milano cannot guarantee the San Siro stadium and its surroundings will not be affected by refurbishment works in the period of the 2027 UEFA Champions League final, it was decided not to assign the final to Milan and reopen the bidding process to appoint a suitable venue, with a decision expected in May or June of 25. Munich's Allianz Arena will host the 25 Champions League final on the 31st of May, but with only Budapest and Milan submitting bids for the 26 and 27 finals when the bidding process was open in 23, a source has told ESPN that the UEFA will now seek expressions of interest from cities that originally chose not to bid for the 27 Champions League final. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know in terms of how the finances work. For example, people say that nobody wants to host the Olympic Games now because it's so expensive to do so. I don't know if the Champions League is so expensive to host that they don't make profits. Maybe that's why it's not as popular. It's like, yeah, you hosted the Champions League final, but it actually cost you a lot of money. So who's going to get it? Could be anybody's guess. UEFA seem to like the likes of Wembley quite a bit for things like this because it's a massive stadium. Maybe the Bernabeu in Madrid, something like that. A real modern, flashy stadium. As much as the San Siro is an iconic stadium, and it is showing its age, I don't think it's been majorly renovated since the 1990 World Cup. Again, Italian football fans, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it's majorly changed since then. So I've known some people to go to the stadium and they say, yes, it's an incredible venue for football, but facilities-wise, it is lacking compared to a lot of modern stadiums. That's what you'd expect for a stadium that's not been renovated. Personally, I would love for them to renovate the San Siro, bring it up to standard so it can host top-level football things. I mean, it's such a shame that, like Old Trafford, for example, here in England, that's not going going to host any kind of top level Champions League or Euros or any. I mean, it's not part of the Euros bid for 28. That got accepted from the UK and Ireland, for example. So I would love to see it renovated. I think it's a bit of a shame that it's not going to be renovated in time. The thing with Italian planning permission is just ridiculous. I mean, like Roma were meant to move into their new stadium like 10 years ago, and it's not even started being built yet. It's very, very difficult to get things built and get things done in Italy when it comes to renovations. So that's probably what's going on here. I imagine the San Siro is going to stick around for a while yet, but the renovations that it's needed aren't going to happen. But then at the same time, Inter and AC, they're not going to be able to move out of there because their new stadium is going to suffer from the same bureaucratic nightmare that the San Siro is currently going through. So yeah, there we go. Bit of a sad story, but unfortunately, that's Italy. That's Italy for you, I'm afraid. Nothing new there when it comes to this kind of stuff. But yeah, which city do you want to host the Champions League final in 2027, guys? It's a way off, but which stadium would you like to see? I'd love to see the Westfalenstadion in Borussia Dortmund Stadium. I'd love to see that host a Champions League final. Has it ever hosted one? I'm not sure. I can't remember one anyway. I'd love to see it. But yeah, see you very soon for some more football news here on the Football Chronicle.